Hello, Scott Scheferman, Principal Strategist at Eclipsium, here today to talk to you about our monthly threat report called Below the Surface. It covers everything to do with firmware security, everything to do with device level security, threats in the wild, research, advisories, vulnerabilities, all of it. It's all in there. Here's my thoughts this month. Well, the theme to start with is simple. It's ready, set, action. Why? Well, as you read this threat report, it looks a lot like last month's threat report. I hate to say it. And the one before that too. It's just more of it. This thing is not slowing down. These types of attacks are just going through the roof. And so what we really need to do is figure out, what does it mean for me in my own organization with the resources I have and the leadership I have, the tooling I have, the technology I have, the automation I have. What does it mean for me to be able to actually go and actually patch? And not just patch willy-nilly, not just patch Tuesday, Adobe, all that stuff. Yeah, sure, you got to do that. That's definitely low-hanging fruit. But you have to actually go and patch all the devices as well, because those are the ways the attackers are getting in. I promised you I wasn't going to educate you this time. So let's stick to the plan. How do you actually take action inside your organization right now if I were to ask you to go and find every single device that needs a firmware patch that can be for devices that are vulnerable, such that they can be exploited in the wild, such that they are being exploited in the wild? Because it's on like Donkey Kong. Right now you have a whole new set, a whole new crop of ransomware actors coming up. And literally coming up through the criminal organizations. One of them is called Lockbit, and they're one of the most sophisticated ones out there. And recently there was an interview, and you'll read this in the report, of one of the operators, or authors, if you will, behind Lockbit. And the interviewer asked them, what do you see that organizations are doing wrong that they should do better? And of course they told you and I the same thing I know you know already. Shut down that RDP. Patch that VPN server, because we're getting in left and right this way. These remote internet-facing devices are ubiquitously being attacked right now. And it's true of the enterprise, but it's also true of the home. One of our researchers right now is doing research on like Soho devices, Wi-Fi routers, etc. And I cannot believe, neither one of us can believe, that these devices are aged old, running old firmware that is known vulnerable and has been exploited in the wild. And this is going back, some of these things have been patched in years. And we wonder why we have like botnets that TrickBot can ride on MikroTik routers. We wonder why we have distributed denial of service amplification attacks that can target organizations and hold them ransom because there's millions, tens of millions of these devices already commandeered by operators that are using them to do bad things. So how would you right now know which of those devices to patch, which ones to patch first? And how are you going to get faster at patching? Because let me tell you, the whole supply chain dynamic that's hitting right now, it's also on. One of the things the Lockbit author said and during the interview was they expect more supply chain style attacks like the ones that our evil has been carrying out lately, right? Against things like Quanta. So here's a question. Why do we need to get faster at patching? We all know that when a vulnerability is disclosed, there's a certain amount of time before the exploit or proof of concept or even an attack in the wild takes place. And that used to be a couple of weeks, we used to say a couple of years ago. It's down to days now, or sometimes even hours. If you watch Twitter, you can watch these things where like the Pulse Secure stuff, that was just a matter of probably a half day or something like that before some of those devices were being attacked in the wild. And in fact, actually, Realtek's SDK, software development kit, was compromised at the supply chain level, and that's resulted already in an active campaign just a few days later. That's actually in this month's threat report. There's another one that effectively, is it ThruTech? They also have an SDK, and that's affecting 83 million devices, almost all of those with cameras in them, which is what they do. How scary is that? And making them vulnerable, not just vulnerable that you can see the camera, which is bad enough, but you can actually exploit them and get remote code execution and use them as a jumping off point as an attacker inside homes or enterprises and even baby monitors that SDK made it into, right? And this is not just IoT stuff. This carries out to everything that's happening right now. In fact, if you think about the Pulse Secure stuff, CISA just put out a new report. There's 5 more MARs, malware analysis reports, right? 5 more types of malware that have been found to be exploiting the same vulnerabilities in these Pulse Secure devices. These are big, beefy VPN devices that are not cheap, that are being exploited all different ways by all different actors. The ability to literally steal multi-factor authentication credentials off the wire, off that device, or pull down all the creds, or pull those off the wire if you need to from those devices. There's new forms of C2 and backdoors that allow the attackers to maintain persistence. And if you try to patch that device after it's already been hacked, guess what? Too bad. They have a way of maintaining persistence by writing back the malicious code even on the new firmware update. So understand, like, patching devices right now, especially externally facing ones, but definitely the ones internal too, like your Cisco ASAs, those are getting hammered internally. All your routers inside your critical infrastructure, those are critical and they're totally vulnerable. So the way to get faster is to gain visibility, gain automation, gain intelligence that allows you to know how to prioritize those vulnerabilities, and then get to it. That's why the theme this month is Ready, Set, Action. I think I've said enough. I hope you get the gist, and I really encourage you to read the report. It's full of great stuff, and we will see you soon. Again, Scott Scheferman at Eclipsium. Obviously, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm very active there, Twitter as well. But sign up for this newsletter. If you're just watching this video, you're not already subscribed, please do that. It's very easy. You can either just send an email to info@eclipsium.com, or you can go to the website where you can find under resources there the threat report. There's a way to put your email address in there and sign up for this thing. It's low volume. It's non-spammy. There's no salesmanship going on here. It's just the best threat report in the industry when it comes to firmware. Talk to you soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.